Alright, got that coke.
Alright, now we're back on, thank God.
Thank
Alright,
God.
yeah, CHL Overtime, we were back for just probably like 5 minutes. But we wanted to finish the show.
Yeah.
I think we left off with me talking about Patan's trade with Miss Ovechkin for Convict and Super Clean Body. Convict was pretty damn good when I had him. He didn't have a mic at the time I had him, and I think he was like away on like a trip or something like that, so I traded him away because he was inactive. Because Windsor traded me someone inactive, but they ended up both showing up, so it ended up working out. I mean, Miss Ovechkin's not a good defender at all, so I mean she'll fit in pretty well with Windsor. It's just I don't know why someone would want Miss Ovechkin, honestly.
I thought I got a steal for that trade, honestly. It came to
Really
me.
good.
They were like, we're interested in Miss Ovechkin. I was like, who would you offer? And they're like, I have Config to offer. I'm like, really? Because Config was doing pretty good, considering the team he was on. In my
So
opinion.
we had him in one game. I think he put up like 6 points or something like that. And after that, I was like, oh, well, great. I just completely screwed up myself on that one. Trent, do you know anything about this trade to put any input?
Well, all I know is that Super Clean Body, I had him last season with London, and very good player. The only issue with him is that he likes to be more of an individual, like doesn't really give it to his teammates or whatever. He's like one of those players who takes it in and just tries to do his own thing. Like he averaged like a ridiculous amount of shots. So
I actually think I traded him away today.
yeah, thank you. Thank you.
So you really won that trade. And then I have Sudbury Stunner X96 to go back for Slick Colt. At the time, I thought it was a good trade because Stunner is very good and he's friends with Dan Hutton. But what do you know, Dan Hutton ended up getting called up. So I ended up kind of sucking for Quebec. And Quebec's now going to be in a lot of shit considering I just looked at their roster and all of their good guys just about got called up.
That's what you get for drafting veterans.
Yeah, that's pretty
Betting on veterans, rather.
Yeah, that is true.
I don't understand what people like. I mean, in a way, I obviously understand it. But people kept complaining about their veterans getting called up, like in week one. What the hell did you expect to happen? Like, obviously,
that big form about it. I mean, it's bound to happen because management just goes to their player history. They're like, oh, this guy's pretty good. Gets called up. It's that easy. But the only issue is if you go after prospects, I mean, they're not guaranteed to be good. So you basically shot at them. I mean, you need to like constantly try out players, but
that's what a lot of scouting is for. Unless you really know who you want before the season even starts, then you have to do a lot of scouting.
But that could be months. I mean, it's 2,000 players, possibly 1,000 or so are prospects. I mean, that's going to take weeks, not months to get, and there's such little time.
Yeah.
I honestly didn't even scout that much.
I didn't either. Yeah. I think I did like 3 scouting lobbies.
I mean, I did lobbies, but I had one name that I wanted, and the guy ended up going for 3.5. I just didn't see the point.
Yeah.
Nobody was really good.
I mean, being in the league for so long now, you basically have a good idea for who's good, who's not good, without doing any scouting. You just look at their player history, like, all right, this guy's good, and that's what I did.
Or you just look at their friends list to see who they play with.
Not even that. I mean,
I do that too. I do that too.
But I mean, it's kind of easy to tell who's good and who's bad. It's just there's a lot of time with the unknown players, and that's why going for veterans is kind of key. You have to build your team around some player.
And then you also got the fact that you could be like the Cataracts, who wanted to keep fourth line in the CHL and ended up going to you. But yes, it does suck having that contract, but you know you're going to have him for the full year because no one is going to want an 8.5 fucking left winger.
Next me. Go ahead.
I mean, here's my suggestion for all anyone who's watching right now. make sure you know who you're going after. If they're a veteran, make sure you do your research. Message AHL GMs. Ask them, are you keeping this player on your training camp or are you calling them up? I mean, it's basically like a prospect. If there's a veteran who's staying in the CHL, and you're guaranteed to have them, then what's the risk? I mean, that's why you need to do a little bit extra research and build a roster like that. You don't just need prospects. You need a good idea of who's not going to be called up or not.
Yeah.
It really makes me wonder if when these people bid up players in the bidding to like $8 million like fourth line, if the only reason they're doing that is to make sure they don't get called up as soon as he gets on their team.
Or just to piss them off.
That too.
I don't think so. I mean, I had this last season. I think it's just management being retarded. I mean, Breck, you going for $9 million, you're definitely a great player. But $9 million for any player, man, is just
it's retarded. It's retarded.
Yeah, I mean, you had Sudbury spend $10 million on a goal and like $3 million on another guy. I mean, you basically need your team to be $500K out, and that
unless you're freak on the sticks, I'd bid $9 million on him if I were NHL owner.
Yeah, I mean, unless you also have a team full of people with $500K salary. I mean, what are you doing? So, I mean, you could build your team around a player who's expensive, but make sure you know what you're doing and get players who are reliable. That's okay.
I actually think there needs to be a rule in the future with the bidding and stuff like that, because, like with me, when I had the $9 million contract, you're not going to go anywhere. And if you want to go somewhere, you're screwed.
Yeah.
Luckily, I got to play on a certain specific team. I was really good, and it was like playing on an AHL team, but I kind of wanted to, considering it was the Bridgeport Tigers. They were a pretty decent team. It just screws up opportunities and stuff like that, and it kind of made me want to quit at one time, because $9 million contract, you're gonna get a lot of criticism. Like in the first day that I was on Red Deer, we were playing club, and one team beat me, and they're like, "Oh, the $9 million man." I'm like, yes, because $9 million. That's what I wanted out of myself.
And this makes me wonder though, like, do people have second tags just because they went too high on one team and want to like enjoy an LG experience? I mean, people like you just wanting to play. You don't really care how much, like, if $9 million, that's obviously too much. You're just looking to play. If it's AHL, CHL, or whatever, I mean, how is that fair? It's just not for the players.
Yeah. I think the rule that would kind of make it better is if you're in a CHL and you get called up to the AHL, I think your contract should get cut in half if you're over $1 million. Because obviously you can't cut $500K in fucking half. That's the minimum. But I mean, it really kind of killed the experience at first, because you're stuck.
I think it should be over like $3 million though, because what if the team has a ringer like you? Let's just say your contract was $2 million. Let's just say, if you're a $1 million player, that's really not that much. Any team could fill you in the lineup. So. Yeah,
that would probably be better. Yeah.
But it's got to be something where. It just a little bit of a rule change, just a slight one where it could accommodate players.
This is just all of like a voice in the crowd, though. Like, how often do you hear people suggest a rule and it actually goes through?
A lot.
Well, I mean,
really? I've seen a lot of people make suggestions, and I haven't seen much.
I thought you meant like go through, like nothing being done.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like people suggest it, but how often have you seen the Bogs or the staff or whoever like actually consider it?
This season, I will give it to the Bugs. They have done a lot to help us.
I agree. I'm not saying they haven't, but I think that a lot of these suggestions just get like turned away before they even have a chance.
Yeah, and I mean, it's really their choice in the end, but the GM always knows best. I mean, for what he needs, we all have ideas of what we need, and sadly, we can't make our team for its full potential because of some.
Look who joined us.
Yeah, Mr. BB at the end of it. And the shit's blacked out. There we go.
Time I could actually get in here. freaking computer was just crashing like nobody's business. But hello, I'm back.
And you're lagging too.
Yep, and that's it for tonight. Here's one thing that we can discuss. What do you guys think of like how players are randomly assigned to AHL teams and have different teams in the CHL? Like you're all on the same CHL team, you don't all have the same AHL.
It's weird.
That's interesting.
I think there are too many CHL teams to really connect teams to AHL teams because there are like, what, 32? Yeah, 32 CHL
But
teams.
you cut two teams and you have one team for each one. That wouldn't be that hard. Or you do
yeah, but
joint.
at the same time, then you have to get your AHL managers involved in how you're doing your bidding and all that. I think that would be a little too much for the I think that would be a little too much for the AHL GM because his roster is also the training camp for his NHL team. So
well, then they just don't find a shit CHL GM.
This
by
goes
the way,
back to
what
my
did I
discussion.
miss?
I mean,
I
I think
don't know
there
what I
should
missed.
be less teams. I mean, it seems like the you missed a lot.
Oh wow,
But
seriously.
anyway, I think there should be less teams. Like 32 teams is a lot. They barely had 32 applications. I mean, they're supposed to turn down some applications that aren't good. They just give
they gave really anybody GM.
yeah,
They
I
really
mean,
did.
and look what happens. People step down. People get banned. Well, Breck, your case was different, but I mean, like for example, it's accurate. Getting banned, Chilled Riot, his team wasn't doing good, so he quit. I mean,
It
not
ruins
fair.
the experience for these players that it's their first season in LG and then they come in and that crap happens. They don't want to play again. They
Yeah,
don't sign up for
exactly.
the next season.
And I mean, I do agree in a bigger training camp. Last season, the training camp was too big, where it was half the season, but there should be a decent training camp because we also have the issue where there's a lot of inactive guys, and we could be screwed if we have two TC guys and they're both inactive for a game.
Well, come on.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean, how many teams do you think would be reasonable then?
right now, for a bigger league, though, it's difficult. There's 32 right now. I would say 25 about because
It has to be an even number though.
then like
Splitting
20.
up the Q and the O.
Because, yeah, I mean, there shouldn't even be a Q and O.
24, 12 in each. Top 8 make playoffs. Because honestly, I hate the fact that anybody can make playoffs.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
kind of.
How
I
cool?
mean,
Well, here's my idea though. Like the NHL, for example, or even MLB. There's some interleague games. Wouldn't it be really interesting to play a team outside of your league, like a CHL
Yeah.
team, an OHL team? I mean,
like I get that they want to do simulation league and stuff like that, but we are nowhere near simulated.
no.
That was the least simulated one there is.
I mean, really, there should be some games, QMJ, whatever. I think you should pick your team, and the schedule should be based off of just random, completely, just completely random.
We lost BB again.
I don't know if you guys are around then, but you like in the VEHL, every CHL team was assigned an AHL team. Stuff was ran in my mind so much easier, and I was on a shit CHL team.
Yeah.
Everybody communicated with each other a lot better instead of just saying, "Oh, hey, I'm calling this guy up. You have 24 hours." They would try and make sure that you had a replacement for that guy just to make sure of that.
But what's annoying though is they have a 24-hour rule. I've only had one GM who's respected that. Like I've had players getting called up, and without being 24-hour notice, I file a complaint on them. They don't do anything. Why? It's like, in my opinion, it's like the AHL gets precedent over the CHL.
Yeah, the same
Yeah.
way the NHL gets
Yeah.
precedent over the AHL.
And to be honest, it's more political. NHL and AHL, I'm going to be bold and say this, it's mostly people picking their friends. I mean, CHL is
agree.
difficult because they pick players they don't know of. They try them out and go from there. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
ridiculous. Like, it's not set up in favor of the CHL, and it should be because that's the most important league. I mean, the NHL has
You see the same big names every season in the NHL. With the CHL, it's all new players for the most part.
and if you're a business, would you want more people who are new to come back, or would you want the same old people to stay? I mean, you could make a lot more business off those newer guys. They will return, they will play, and they could enjoy it. But how it's set up, I mean, they're not really giving benefits to the CHL. It's tough.
Take guys like the Kaiser, for example. He's sitting there wrecking it, but before bidding started, no one had ever heard of him before the season started.
Yeah. I mean, you give new guys a chance to perform.
There are a lot of good guys I haven't heard of until they were big in the CHL this seaon.
But they have to satisfy the CHL to bring these people back. I mean, if someone's not happy, someone who's a really good player, would they want to come back? No. Especially management. I mean, last year there was no CHL basically because no one wanted to step up and be CHL management. It was ridiculous. So
I also think they need to make sure they cut down on stuff because you have people like Children who quit, and that team folds. They're going to start forfeiting stuff.
I'm just gonna be bold and say management. If you want to be an AHL manager, you have to be in the CHL for at least one season and have a winning record. If not, I think that you should stay in the CHL for 2 seasons. I mean, there should be some sort of quota to meet, personally. If it's age limit, I don't know, but it's got to be something.
I don't know if wins is the way to go because you yourself can't alone control if your team wins or loses.
Yeah, but usually it's people. A lot of people quit, and I don't know if that's based off age or whatever, but how many GMs have quit so far this season already? It's not fair for their team.
About 4 or 5.
I really feel bad for the GMs their teams aren't very good because players just think, oh, if I'm not on a good team, I don't even want to play because we're going to lose anyways. And I really feel bad for the teams that happens to because then you start forfeiting games, and how are you supposed to turn around a team if nobody's going to play?
Yeah, and the team could turn around if everyone was active. I mean, I'm in different leagues, and this one team in a different league I'm in was in last place, and they're turning around. I mean, they're on a hot streak. I mean, you just never know when your team can catch fire and just be good. And if you're not going to try, why join LG, where it's competitive?
Yeah.
I mean, LG is the most competitive league in my opinion, and the CHL is the most competitive out of all of them. I mean, remember Breck?
No. I don't know about that.
No, I do. Back in season 3, Breck, remember how many teams were within 1 point of coming in first place? At least 8 teams were in the race for first place. I mean, this season we've got just everybody's in contention besides for 4 or 5 teams. I mean, everybody's hot. Everybody's looking for a championship. It's competitive.
And see, now you got 3 or 4 teams out of the OHL and the QMJHL that are contending. It's really not fun for I know a lot of people.
No.
Because I will say I would say normally the age limit would be a factor, but then that would leave BB out of it. And I know BB's a good manager.
Yeah, you really can't. You really can't classify someone as a bad manager because just based on their age.
No, it's not really as a bad manager. It's more maturity. I mean, obviously, BB is maturity.
Yeah, BB does have a pretty damn good maturity level.
Well, here's what I'm thinking. If you have experience, then the age limit shouldn't factor. If you don't have any experience for management and you apply to be manager, you should be turned away immediately.
Yeah.
And if you want to manage in the AHL, you got to be in the CHL for 1 season and then handle it. I mean, because if you could handle the CHL, you could handle the AHL and NHL no problem. And that's a fact. So.
Yeah.
And you should be able to have a winning season too, because it's tough. I mean, we make it easy. All our teams are doing successful, but it's really hard. I mean, if you guys want to step in our shoes for 1 day and try to be a manager in the CHL, good luck.
It's
Yeah,
literally,
true.
it's literally a 20. It's another job.
It really is. It's
I'm,
a
I'm,
24
I'm
hour.
sitting there. I would seriously be at work, and I would have to look at my phone every 10 minutes just to deal with one thing. And
I do it at school. I do my scheduling while I'm at school, sitting in class. So I mean,
I do while driving, going to the hockey rink. I
yeah, I
mean,
like sending out messages and like making the schedule, talking to players, answering PMs. It's literally a full-time job to be a
and for
manager.
This
me,
is the thing with me. Like, I have, like, I'm in Central Time, so for me it's 9 to 4, but for you guys it's 10 to 5. So I will come home, do my homework, do whatever I need to do for school, then get right on my computer, have, like, 20 notifications to deal with, have people screaming down my throat saying, hey, we need this, I want to play this game, play that game, hey,
Yep.
I can't play tonight, then get on, and since my team is struggling a little bit personally, I have to get on and end up trying to find, like, 3 ECUs, like, legitimately, if anyone that never has been management before and they think it is easy, is a piece of cake, good luck.
do it.
It
Yeah,
is
good
not.
luck.
It's not easy. I know some of the people like Baton and Domi might make it look easy, but it's much harder than what. It's much harder than it looks. It really is.
I mean, finding ECU is almost impossible. Let's be real, especially in
Yeah,
the first week when we had.
Yeah, it is.
In the first week, how many guys were on a training camp? Like less than 5, and you need those 5 guys to be active for one specific day. But people work, people have lives. I mean, it's tough. You can't fill your team. It's frustrating too if you guys forfeit because then your team gets down on you and they want to get traded, and then it's an endless cycle.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Like I had 2 forfeit losses on Wednesday, and I had 2 people right after that ask for a trade. Like both of them are gone, so like it doesn't matter. But like I had 2 forfeit losses. I think one to Ottawa, one to Oshawa, and then I had maybe 2 or 3 people in a matter of an hour say, "Look, I don't want to be here anymore." And like they did it in a respectful manner. I'm not going to say who it is. They probably know if they're watching it, but they did in a respectful manner, but, it's so hard to actually be able to keep a solid team together when you have to get people, like, constant ECUs every night, and you're a team with a losing record as well. That has something to do with it. If you're not a winning team, some people might not be as committed to play for you.
Yep. And going back to management, is it the manager's fault necessarily? Is it his fault for his players not necessarily being active or wanting to be on the team? I mean, people always blame the managers, but it's tough to call on that. The managers try their best. I mean, they're so active. And some managers who apply for the position and quit, they don't realize how hard it is. They think it's easy. Like, they could build a great team, but you can't. There's plenty of research involved. I mean, how much research have you guys done this season to build your team?
Yeah, I was recruiting like 2 months before I even got selected as management. Like, I was doing a lot of no, not 2 months. I was like 2 months before the season.
Yeah.
But then I said I was doing it before I even got selected as a manager because I knew I wanted to build a good team, and I was recruiting players from drop-ins, from club games, things like that.
Yeah. BB Brick, what about you guys? How long have you guys been recruiting?
I've been recruiting right from the jump since I got the PM from McDonald's saying I'd been selected. I had started. I was already thinking about who my AGM I want. I went ahead to my AGM because of the actually chemistry factor. We were AGM and GM last season, so that had a lot to do with it. We knew what we kind of had a system a little bit. And then I had already started doing, like, scouting people in drop-ins, club games. I would make, like, little scouting lobbies for prospects, and I had been doing that probably from the time I got selected until bidding started.
Yeah. It's just like
I'll still go out and
process.
recruit for drop-ins. I'll still go out and recruit for drop-ins sometimes just to see if I can catch a good player every now and then that's active.
Yeah. It's just crazy.
Have you guys had any players that's tried to tell you how to manage your team?
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, was that even a question?
It's frustrating.
I mean,
Oh, yeah.
What the line should be, and
I haven't had any of it this season yet. It'll probably come, but I haven't had it this season. I had it a lot last season with 2 people that shall not be named.
but Patan, here's a good thing though. I'd rather have somebody who wants to help out the team. Like, for example, I've had players who said, encouraging, like leadership. Leadership's okay, but when you're trying to, like, literally put minds together, it's not fair. It's ridiculous. I
I
mean,
just think it's counterproductive when that person who's trying to do that is getting frustrated when it's not done his way, and he's just a
that's
player, not a manager.
it's like dealing with a marriage or a little kid. I mean, you have to give them whatever they want,
It is.
even if that means your team sucks.
A lot of times managing a CHL team is like babysitting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, let's do what I want, even if it doesn't help out the team. Like, okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Put me with the best players in my games, and then screw the rest of the lines. They can just do
Yeah, I
whatever.
had that happen.
And then, like, you check the player out, and he's not the best. It's people who think they can do everything. I'm like, you know what? You could borrow my account from one day, see how many notifications you get, do the lines, do this, do that. Let's see how you do.
So honestly, being a manager has opened my eyes. I realize how much of a dick I was now. I was the biggest asshole ever. And like after being a GM, you're like, wow, I want to freaking choke this guy like no other. So it really opened up a lot of thoughts, and I hope to act different. Probably won't happen, but
Well, then
probably
again,
still really cocky ass.
there's still the occasional GM or two that we all know who I'm going to mention, but who is a dickhead just to be a dickhead. And I mean, you know what? That's like 3 or 4 managers in my opinion, and that is frustrating. And that's when you be a cocky asshole.
Like the day I tried to trade you Bob Wood, I said no. Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're like, 1 for 1. I was like, fine. Hey, it worked out in the end for both of us.
Yeah, right from the beginning, I was like, okay, I want Astro for Bomb Boy.
You're like,
Yo,
He
Brett, I
said-
kind of see what you were talking about, though. It kind of opened my eyes, too. Like, I was, like, I think I was, like, a late week 3 sign-up in Season 4. I was with, like, 2 or 3 teams. I'm just like, why the hell won't these kids play me? Da-da-da-da. Why won't this happen? Why won't that happen? And then, you know, I became management. It kind of really opened my eyes on how hard of a job managers actually do have. Like, to be completely honest, like Tretiak said over here, if you think you can fill in one of our shoes for a day and think it can be a piece of cake with no problems, go ahead and try it. You're going to want to bail out in the first 20 minutes. So
going back to
it
what
kind of opens your eyes.
And also, as a player, you said you're getting traded, but it's not necessarily because you're a bad player. I mean, a GM has his certain lines. I mean, for example, if you're a random assignment in week 3, and they've been playing for 2 weeks, if the team's successful, they have their 3 line set. I mean, it's tough to crack the roster. You wonder why you traded. No, it's not because you're a bad player. So for all the players who haven't found a good home right now, it's not because you're bad. It's just that managers have...
They have to do what's best for everybody. They
Yeah.
have to do what's best for their team.
Yeah.
That's their job.
And have you guys had this too? Bringing this up, where a guy wants to be playing, and he doesn't want to play any club games or drop-in, so you don't really know how he is.
I hate how he gets on like 5 minutes before the game starts without playing all day. That
Or
frustrates
just
me.
like you don't know how he plays. He's like, why am I not on the active roster? Yet you don't know how he plays. You want to try the guy out first, see how he plays, see where he fits.
I had one guy. I had to replace him last minute because he didn't. He showed up like 3 minutes before game time. It's like, oh, why are you in the game? I'm like, because you're that late, and I already had a replacement to make up for what you did. And he was like, oh, all this, and that. And I'm like, you also didn't have warm-up. I think it was against Quebec. And I was like, it's also because you don't want to go into this game without a warm-up. Then he pulls out oh, I'm a top player, I'm top 60 in the leaderboards. I'm like, yeah, you gotta go.
It doesn't matter if you're a top 6 player. I mean,
Exactly.
it's all about chemistry. It's about line chemistry.
I will straight up say this to everybody. Your leaderboards do not mean a damn thing when it comes to league. League always tops club. I don't care.
Especially club leaderboards, man. Like people can play 2s and rack up the points.
Oh my god.
You don't just play 2s and rack up the points. They can be like, oh, I'm like a top 20 center. Like that doesn't mean crap when you're playing a competitive 6s league.
Exactly.
And competitive is an understatement. There's guys in this league who you've never heard of. They just tear you up. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
you want to go in like, oh, I'm this, I'm that, I'm hot shit. You play one game, you don't have a point. I mean, let's
I
see.
also love the kids that come into the forums and like, oh, this guy sucks because I beat him. Who gives a shit? That's one good game.
Exactly.
That's why you guys play each other often. I mean, if you want to beat him.
Like that Neptune kid, he talked about how he beat
One
North Bay.
game.
Yeah, North Bay.
One game.
You gotta also understand, everybody has a bad game. Like that freaking 10-3 game that we had against Utrecht.
Yeah.
Everyone has a bad game. Guaranteed it won't ever happen again.
No, well, it's also the pressure factor. I mean, you go in against 1v2 team, you feel the pressure. I mean, you start sweating, and you're like, oh, man, I don't want to screw up for my team. Especially as a manager. If you're playing yourself in that game, I mean, that's why I've avoided those games, the 1v2 games, because you think that you're the reason why you won and lost. And I've had this last season where I've played myself in my line, and we've lost, and management or my players were like, well, why do you guys play yourself? Why couldn't you play other players? That's another issue. It's just
when I was at Chicoutimi, I always played the tougher teams because I honestly thought I was one of the best players on the team.
Yeah.
I mean, not to sound cocky or anything, but I mean, realistically, I was. I was putting up 9 points every week up against top teams.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was pretty damn successful for a little bit of the time that I had there. I mean, I'd honestly rather take a 2-1 week with 9 points against top teams than a 15-point week 3-0 against fucking Cataracts every game.
Yeah. You do what's best for your team. I mean, even in the end, if it doesn't work out, I mean, at least you're trying new things. People have to realize that management, you're trying to cater to everybody's needs, and in some cases, it's not. You have good intentions, you just don't follow through with it.
Yeah.
And this is the thing with that kind of stuff, to be honest. Like in the end, like Breck said, and this kind of ties in with it. If no one really cares about your leaderboard stats, I don't care if you're the best. I don't care if you're Baton knows what I'm talking about, because this kid has spammed the living hell out of me. Because I got him to sign up for league. He said #1 goalie on PS3. It's a completely different console. It's not a competitive sixes league. It's just drop-ins with about 70% of kids that don't know what they're doing.
Yep.
10% of kids that are just trying to sit there and act like they're just completely hilarious and troll. And then the actually 20% of people that actually care and try to play for the fun of the game but still want to play competitively. I don't really care where you are in a leaderboard or anything. I need to do what's best for my own team. I need to do what's best for the team as a whole, not just one person. I don't care who the hell you are. You need to do what's best for your team, not just one.
Also, with the console changing, it's a completely different game and everything. I don't know if it's the same.
I think Xbox is completely way more competitive than PS3 is in my opinion.
I was gonna say that. I've never played it on the PS3, but as I said, completely different game. Call of Duty. Oh my God, kids freaking suck dick on the PlayStation.
Yeah.
It is insanely bad. There was one time I didn't play anything for a month or something like that. I played Call of Duty. I went 36-4 in Team Deathmatch. You can't not be serious. When people say oh, PS3 is better than Xbox.
No.
The console may be better, but I'd rather have competition than freaking destroy little pussies in freaking public matches.
Yeah, and kids are going top dropping, top twos player. I mean,
top OTP.
The only thing I consider to be good is top 6's club. That's the only thing I consider to be somewhat decent and have merit, because club is tough. If you're in Division 10 even against new clubs who disbanded Division 1, 2, and 3, it's like playing in LG. You get put up against LG guys.
And the thing with club. And the thing with club is that you also have those kids that are all Legend 3s and thus are scared to play those Division 1 teams. Like a club, you could say in the LG Pro Series, take a club like Never Unlucky or Dream Chasers. You have those kind of clubs that actually play competitively, and they will just go into clubs and wreck kids. Now, if you had somebody there that was not in LG and just played that and wanted to get an LG CHL, they'd be a prospect, and then that's maybe something you could take some merit in. But if you're just somebody sitting there saying, oh, I'm the top 3 player in the world. I'm a center, and then like half of those teams don't even have a center. They might be a computer center. Like there's not really a whole lot you can take merit in playing and being such and such good in drop-ins. In my
That's what I'm saying. That's when leaderboards really have no factor whatsoever coming to.
Yeah, like I had this guy in LG last season. He was a number 1, number 2, twos goalie. He tried playing LG like last season. The guy was sitting in a butterfly, like one of those NHL 13 goalies. He played like that. And I was like, wait, I thought you said you're number 1. I am. I checked the leaderboards. He's up there. I was like, how is that possible? No, it's you cannot play twos and expect to be good in LG. It's not going to happen.
It's a lot of people do.
Yeah, I mean, you try to play in LG, it's the best of the best.
Just so I know that I miss like every topic, like the trades and the whole fetus thing and everything. Did I miss like literally all of that?
We didn't talk about fetus.
Nah, there's really nothing to talk about there besides.
There's not really talk about there besides
That's
what
a little
the
bit
hell's
of
gonna happen.
a little bit of a burn topic.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, really? Oh, okay, then let's talk.
What?
Let's see what you got.
I think Burn was the pretty much deal maker for Breck there.
Yeah, exactly.
I said it was a burn topic.
I'm not going to burn on fetus. I'm going to say it's putting Millis way too much.
I didn't mean it like that. I meant we've been talking about it for the past 3 weeks since the season started. Everyone's been talking about it. I'm saying that topic's a little burnt out. There's really not much left to talk about with him.
I mean, 10 million goalie, dumbass of the week, dumbass of the year in Navy. I mean, that's it. That's all you need to say.
Yeah, true.
I mean, I still think the management topic is very interesting, and you could go on it for days.
You're really
weeks.
Months, years, whatever. You can just go on it forever. And I had this last season. I'm not sure if you guys had this. Like, okay, you wanted to play drop-ins. Like, okay, I'm gonna play drop-ins. And then when it comes time to play drop-ins, you play 1 or 2 club games. They talk about chemistry, and then they leave the club, go to their friends' clubs, and stay there. I mean, if you want to build chemistry, the ideal way is to play club. And that's my pain. And it's just frustrating when you get some players who aren't dedicated towards the team. I don't care how good you are. It's about chemistry.
It's a big problem with my team. No one can stay in a club.
Yeah, or just drop-ins. Like, people post, like, oh, yeah, looking to play drop-ins. And then when it comes time to play drop-ins, you play 1 or 2 games. Oh, I gotta go play with friends.
I mean, there are a few guys on my roster who are consistently on every day looking to play with other guys, but it's the same just couple guys every day playing with each other. The rest are all offline.
Yeah, that's how it is with me.
You're only as good as your weakest link, in my opinion. And if not one guy in your active roster, or your weakest guy doesn't want to be active, then it's tough. You have to find players to replace him, and not every team is going to want to take a guy who they know is an asshole.
And that's kind of what makes a team like Valdior so good. I have Bogosian, for example. He knows a lot of the kids over there on Valdior. Those kids practice nearly all 17 of them. They will be on every day practicing with each other, building up the chemistry day by day by day, and they get so much better doing that. But then you have somebody such as my team where I have my same 4, 5, 6 people on every day, and then the rest of them will just be online, and I'll invite them to a party, and then they'll be like, "Nah, man, I'm just playing with my buddies." I'm like, "Okay, what are you doing? Are you guys like playing club or something?" He said, "Nah, man, I'm playing Hut right now. I'm in semi-final playoffs." And I'm like, "Who the hell gives a crap about Hut?" It's just. You have to have in order to be a successful team, you have to be at least somewhat committed. You have to be somewhat committed to what you're doing. It's understandable you have a life, but you have to be committed somewhat to be successful.
Yeah, people argue that they have lives outside of Xbox, but at the same time, you joined LG to be competitive.
You need to be
How are you going to be competitive? How are you going to be competitive if you're not practicing and building chemistry like teams do in real life?
I mean,
Exactly.
It's an easy statement, and you guys are all going to answer the same thing. Is LG the most competitive hockey league on Xbox?
Yes.
Really?
You didn't join it just derp around the whole season. You're trying to win. Like, how are you going to win if you're not building chemistry?
If you don't want to be competitive, go to like a dick around league and just play there. But if you want to be competitive, then show up, come at least 15, 20 minutes before to get in the lobby and do like easy stuff. I mean, we're not asking for you guys for anybody to give up a lot. It's all about just protocol, being on time for games, getting 1 or 2 warm games, and that's it. Is that so hard to fill out?
Exactly.
No. I mean, it just is annoying when guys abuse management and show up 5 minutes before game.
If they ever do that, usually, if I have someone that really is looking to play and I know they can fill that spot, I will usually just fill them in automatically. Like, it's like, for example, let's say that my top line right wing is like 5 minutes late for a game, no show, no call, nothing, didn't say anything. We're sitting here practicing, and my second line right wing is right here with us like 30 minutes before game time, and then we're all doing drop-ins together, club together, and then the first line right wing shows up like 3 minutes before game time. I would, without any hesitation, pull him out. Without any hesitation, I would say, dude, you came up way too late. You didn't come on time. This kid over here, he did come up on time. He was committed to playing with us. I'm putting him in for this game.
And if
Like,
he's an
in
active
the end, it's
roster
about
player,
principle. It's about principle.
and if he's an active roster player, he doesn't want to play for you. I mean, what if you need that guy for a different game because he didn't show up?
Exactly.
And then what if like he can't play for that game? You're gonna have to forfeit. I've had that so many times where we've been in forfeit situations, but I got lucky to get another player where someone didn't show up on time.
This might not be. This is not an excuse, but I'm not even going to lie. ECUs have almost screwed up my season. I've had
I agree.
I've had like 7 forfeit losses this season, and then I've had like main roster players have to fill in for somebody else that screws the lines up for that game and cause somebody else to be ECU'd. I think Tretiak is frozen over there in a funny face.
No, you're frozen.
Oh.
I didn't know what happened. He looks frozen over there. But yeah, it's just like if 3 guys miss like 1 game, like if I have like 3 guys on the second line miss a Tuesday 8:30 game, but then the first line guys show up for that game and that's their last game, then that basically screws up your whole lines for the remainder of the week almost. It's amazing how ECUs can affect your week. It's just, it's a wow.
I've been fairly lucky this season. I think my training camp has been extremely active. They've been extremely compliant as far as being active and on when games are being played. If they need to come in and play. Someone lags out or someone doesn't show up or anything. I think I've been fairly lucky as far as my training camp. Guys like, just off the top of my head, like Amazing Smoggy or SMT Bruins. I think SMT Bruins was rostered before he came to my team, and now he's training camp. He's been great as far as ECUs go. Personally, I like to get my ECUs in the schedule when I can, but it doesn't always work, and ECUs don't always play 1 week. They might not play a game during a week, and a lot of guys get frustrated and then stop playing when you need them the most.
Here's what I'll give it up to the bots. Making a new rule change about active roster or TC players playing 3 games in a week, it helps us out a lot. I mean, some of us, like me, my TC wasn't really active at all. And having them play 2 games when we need a fill-in, it's perfect. I mean, but players who get sent down to the training camp are like, oh, I'm not going to play at all, and they become frustrated and demand a trade. But now it's 2 games. I mean, that's perfect. It makes a guy want to stay on a team for a longer period of time. So that's definitely a role I like. Yep.
And I like people that might not have as many active players, like if people that have a lot of ECU trouble, such as me, for example, I use that so much to my advantage. I have this one guy that's a center on my TC. He has a really weird work schedule and stuff. I was talking to him the other day, and he has a weird work schedule. I said, look, can you play, like, before I even told him he was going to get sent down, I was like, look, can you play at least 2 games a week? He said, yeah, that's perfect. I said, okay, I'm just going to send you down to TC. You can play 2 games a week. Just sign up for the ones you can make in your team. He's like, all right, I don't have a problem with it. Compared to what it's been in the past with main roster players playing 4 games a week and then only having TC play 1, TC then gets interested because it's basically, if you don't get on the main roster, you might as well almost not play. It's just 1 game a week. And that's kind of a bit of a deal breaker for those TC players that don't necessarily, they just can't necessarily get on that main roster yet. It's just kind of a bit of a disadvantage to them. But like you said, Tretch, yeah, this is a perfect balance of it a bit. This is a real perfect balance.
Mm-hmm. But I still think that TC issues should be solved where there's...
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
I just don't like the whole system where last season we had 30 to 40 guys on our training camp, and now it's 7 or 8. You know, I just think that there should be less teams, less managers who quit, because that would solve that issue. If they make less teams, then there'll be less managers who quit. And they should take applications very seriously. I mean, not just like say, oh, you're in. Just, you know, just do some research about it.
Kind of did that this season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, Sparty, right? That guy's that.
Now, hey, you went the whole time, and you had to say it, huh?
I didn't say a word. I
had
didn't
to.
say a
No,
word.
this guy did.
I
This guy.
I
I
had
didn't
to.
say a word.
But, I mean, yeah.
No, we're ending the show on that now.
No, we have to. Operation Crimp is next episode.
Operation.
All right, we're done. All right, you had to say it. God, it's such a great show, and he had to end it.
To be fair, you said it was going to be like 5 minutes, and then turned into like 30.
I think it's actually been longer than that, to be honest.
No, that's been like 45.
And I might have been in here for 30 because
He might have been in here for 15.
yeah, my computer decided to sit here and hit the fan, so it just we got a new router. We just need to put it in at this point. If I can just get it put in soon, then hopefully all this crap will be fixed.
I could tell because you keep freezing.
Yeah,
no.
my router really needs to get fixed. So hopefully I can get it replaced or something in a week or two.
Yeah, well.
Alright. Any final thoughts? Anybody?
Remember, kids, management is not as easy as you think.
Yeah, try it. I mean, if you guys really want to, borrow my account for one day, see how many notifications you get. I mean, you'll get 100 notifications, you'll get 100 messages. Like, literally, I had 2 days, I filled up 100 messages in 2 days full of people.
Oh, and don't forget all the notifications you get from the cataracts fucking waving people.
Oh, no.
Not just the cataracts, Victoria Hills, the
I was
Sudbury.
so relieved when
Joshua.
I was so relieved when I didn't get that one day. I'm like, so this is what a quiet phone is.
Like, yes, I got quiet.
I know, right?
Yes, no. I mean, it's ridiculous.
My advice, if you're watching this, try to respect your managers a little bit more. Try and help them out as much as you can because, like BB was saying, our lives suck when we're managing teams. Doesn't matter how good the team is, it's always going to suck because you're going to have so much to deal with. It's another job that you're not getting paid for, and you're not getting much thanks for it either. So
No thanks.
So if you're watching this,
not
just try
none.
and help your managers out as much as you possibly can. Make it as easy as possible for them.
And also, if you post your availability for a day and we confirm you, show up.
That too. I get really frustrated when people
Yeah.
don't post their availability and then they wonder why they're not in the schedule for when they want to be played.
Or when they post and then message you the day of and say, I can't play.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They message you like an hour before, oh, I can't play today.
Oh, sorry, something came up. I'm going to be a little bit late, so make sure you call 5 minutes. No. I had that 100 times already.
Kidding, man.
Right.
Correct.
Well, we're gonna end. We're gonna end it on that note. I'm just really depressed that Trediak actually had to say that.
Hey, I'm sorry, but we mentioned him earlier as dumbass of the week.
No, he didn't.
Oh, well, whoops.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it was a dumbass.
Yay.
That was a dumbass. You and Sparty.
Yeah.
No, I'm
Dumbass.
not even close to being on his
You're a
level.
dumbass of the week.
I'm not even close to being on his level.
Dumbass of the week. All right. We will see you later next week.
So, Breckies, you got acquired.